Today we're going to be doing a UV spot repair. Just going to do a test with a voiceover. So you guys know how we do it. This is our control box. This is our power on. It's a vacuum for retrieval. This is our power for our lights and our gauge. So we're going to test our lights right now. So we're going to hook up our connector hose. No need to test your air, guys. All we're going to do is test our lights. So lights are good. And we're running at 24 volts. That's what we want to see. And that'll be 24 volts for any length of a repair that we're doing. Shut these off. We're going to disconnect it, and then we'll start our wet out. You see we got our pins there. You see the one with the gasket is our air pin. So you'll see the little divots on each end of the plug. They'll only allow you to put this together the one way, so there's no need to be any twisting this stuff or anything like that when it's connected. So now we're going to go to our wet out. So we're going to take our UV resin, no catalyst needed. We're going to pour the whole contents in. Everything comes pre-measured. No measuring needed. You see with other systems they have the yellow jacket on the outside. No need for us to have the yellow jacket because we're not using fiberglass. We're actually utilizing CIPP liner with ours. And we'll go into that in a little bit, but that's basically because we use a clear, not a translucent bladder. So our 24 volts of UV light gets right to the repair. No need to rush at this point, guys, because again, it's UV, so you're not working against a clock whatsoever. So we'll just take that down. Now we're going to just wet this edge out by hand. See how easy that wets out. Again, everything is easier when you're using CIPP liner as opposed to fiberglass. The wet out is much easier, goes much smoother, and you can see everything wet out nicely without that yellow jacket on the outside of it. And again, we're going to be utilizing wet out sleeves throughout this process so that any excess, small excess resin, we can just squeeze right out the end. So now we're going to slide our bladder through. The finger hole in it. See, that's basically just a one-hand pull. Pulls through very easy. So now we're going to plug in our cable connectors. So now what we're going to do is we're going to slice up this liner a little bit on both sides before we tape it up. The reason why we're going to slice this is because we want heavy resin migration. There's not a lot of adhesion properties to UV resin, no matter what UV resin you're using. So we're going to want to get as much migration of this resin as we can to lock this repair in place. A little bit right there. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to tape it up like a normal liner. I'm going to put about 1.5 to 2 wraps of tape on each piece. Okay, now we're back, guys. I'm going to show you some of that resin migration. You see every hole has got resin in it, and the middle migration is running out pretty profusely out of those slits. And again, on the other side, got resin migration coming out of every hole, filling up the top ones, running out of the side ones. So now we're going to get ready. We're going to hit our lights, and we'll keep you guys live while we hit our lights. So we've got 24.1 volts. Lights are on, as we did with our test. And again, you can see that transfer of light coming through that CIPP liner. Unlike other with fiberglass, you need that outer coating, and you also need to inflate and deflate about 10 or 12 times before you can actually get that fiberglass out to size. And it gets quite messy at times. So it's why we've chosen to go with our CIPP liner. You can see that coating is giving way. And what's nice about this is all UV resin actually requires a little bit of heat. So sometimes when you get into these cold cures and companies that claim these cold cures, a little bit of heat helps. It's not a lot of heat, it's like 140, 150 degrees, but it's enough heat to kind of give this and help this resin kick. All resin needs some source of heat source to kick itself off. So we're going to shut this down now. We're going to pull the bladder out. It's been about 5 minutes. So when we shut down, we want to shut down our lights, not our main power. So shut our lights off on our control board. Lights are off. Now we're going to hit our vacuum. So our vacuum is really just going to start to, you'll see, start to bounce around a little bit, because that vacuum is going to start pulling that plastic off the sidewall. See, some of that resin was still able to cure outside with the UV light. I'm going to run this vacuum for a couple minutes just to kind of get it to pull down. Been running for about a minute now. See, the vacuum is all included, so it's encased in the box here. You've got your on-off valve on the side here for vacuum and air. That all uses the same parts inside, so we've got to be able to switch from air to vacuum. Good. We're just going to pull this out now. See that? 2 fingers. Packer is vacuumed down, deflated. And now we'll just kind of take a quick look at our work. That light you see at the edge is actually one of the first holes. You can see that now. So you see, very nice repair. Good little resin bleed. We got a lot of good migration out of that when we actually allowed that to settle up for about 5 minutes. Good and hard repair.